Statements. I call the Honourable the Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I can report to the House that today we have 6,094 new cases, and that includes 3,466 positive rats. I'm sorry to report that there have been 8 deaths, tragically overnight. 4 were in aged care. And, Mr Speaker, I want to express my deep sympathy to the families at a very difficult time. There have been 11,552 COVID tests, and, Mr Speaker, there is good news in the number of COVID hospitalisations, which is continuing to fall. We have 334 people currently in hospital care. That's down from 379 from yesterday, so it's tracking in the right direction. There is also pleasing news in the number of cases among children, which is also trending down. Vaccine coverage continues to increase. 92.64% of 16+ have had at least 1 dose, 90.71% have had 2 doses, and 63.59% of the eligible population have had their boosters. And among 5 to 11-year-olds, 42.28% have had their first dose. And again, a reminder to parents to book your children in, especially before March the 4th. Mr Speaker, severe weather continues to pose a serious threat to our state. The SES have received more than 240 requests for assistance since yesterday, and swiftwater rescue crews have performed 19 rescue operations in the past 24 hours. Most rescues took place in Koroi, Gympie, Kin Kin and the Sunshine Coast and surrounding areas. I can confirm firefighters also performed a swiftwater rescue involving a caravan in Mudgeeraba on the Gold Coast last night. Police have also resumed the search this morning for a 54-year-old man in the Gympie region who went missing in floodwaters yesterday. Mr Speaker, thankfully intense rainfall mostly remained off the southeast coast overnight, but we've had a briefing this morning and the Bureau does expect that rainfall to intensify and move over into the southeast later on today. A significant weather warning still remains in place from Maryborough to Coolangatta and out west from Dalby and Stanthorpe. Intense rainfall is anticipated for many of these regions today. The heaviest rain, of course, is later today and early tomorrow. I'm advised moderate flood warnings are current for the Mary River and the Stanley River and the Upper Brisbane River. I'm also advised the Bureau is predicting damaging wind gusts that could be in excess of 90 kilometres an hour later this afternoon. So I think our message is very clear to people this afternoon. Please listen to your radio, social media, televisions. Please keep up to date to see what is happening, especially if you're planning to go out this evening and probably during the pick-up time this afternoon for children. But the Bureau will give the most up-to-date information there. And, Mr Speaker, our final message is very clear that if it's flooded, forget it. Yeah. Mr Speaker, I'm pleased to advise that the Honourable Justice Helen Boscawen has been appointed Chief Justice of the Queensland Supreme Court. Yeah. Justice Boscawen has served as the Senior Judge Administrator. Her honour was a university medalist in law from QUT and was admitted as a barrister in 1998. She practised widely in commercial and administrative law and particular focus on native title. Her honour was appointed Queen's Counsel in 2013, appointed to District Court on the 10th of November 2014 and a Judge of the Supreme Court in 2017. Mr Speaker, her honour is well respected and has recently demonstrated her interest in mental health issues facing the legal profession, presenting papers at the Crown Prosecutors Conference and to Queensland Magistrate in 2021. Mr Speaker, the baton that passes to Judge Boscawen has been wielded most admirably by her predecessor. Chief Justice Catherine Holmes is widely acknowledged as one of the finest legal minds our state has ever produced. Mr Speaker, one day it will go unremarked that both Justice Holmes and Boscawen are women. Sadly, we are not quite there yet, but we are close. It is a source of pride to me that in all 3 branches of public administration in this state are led by women. And we also have a female police commissioner. There is a truism when it comes to equality that we cannot be what we cannot see. I thank Justice Holmes for her exemplary service and offer every best wishes to Justice Helen Boscawen, incoming Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Queensland. Yeah. Mr Speaker, conservation is a crucial part of our plan to combat climate change and create jobs in regional Queensland. Today I can announce that we've brought more than 131,900 hectares of land in the state's far north, which will protect for future generations. Yeah. Bramwell Station and Richardson Station on the Cape York Peninsula have been used to run cattle for much of the last century. Through the deal struck by my government this month, these properties will now become protected areas and Aboriginal lands. Mr Speaker, this is the largest land acquisition for conservation in Queensland in a decade. It will unite more than 1 million hectares of protected areas in Aboriginal land, with 372,119 hectares, Heathlands Reserve, Jardine River Reserve and Jardine River National Park to the north, the 241,637 hectare Batavia National Park and Machine Gun Nature Refuge to the south, and the 278,668 hectare Bromley and Shelburne Bay National Parks to the east, and the 135,000 hectare Steve Irwin Wildlife Reserve Nature Refuge to the west. And we're about to negotiate traditional owners to determine which areas will become national park and which areas will become Aboriginal freehold land. Mr Speaker, this means more protection for our Great Barrier Reef, stabilising 2 catchment areas that flow into the Great Barrier Reef Lagoon, jobs for locals, including traditional owners and park rangers, a step towards treaty and reconciliation with traditional owners, and opportunities for the local tourism industry, conserving more land to be enjoyed for future generations. Mr Speaker, I'm also proud to confirm that the Junction Roadhouse on Richardson Station and the Bramwell Tourist Park on Bramwell Station will both remain open. These businesses are much-loved local icons. Our government will ensure these landmarks remain open, safeguarding the jobs of locals who work there. Mr Speaker, today's announcement is a direct result of Queensland's nation-leading protected area strategy. Under this policy, we've secured over 167,450 hectares of land for conservation since October 2020. With the significant purchases announced today, Queensland's protected areas will now total more than 14 million hectares. Mr Speaker, on this side of the House, we believe in climate change and we back regional Queensland. And we will continue to invest in our environment to create jobs and to protect our Great Barrier Reef.
I call the Deputy Premier, Minister for State Development, Infrastructure, Local Government and Planning, and Minister assisting the Premier on Olympics infrastructure.
Mr Speaker,